How Die with a Smile works. So we start off with A major 7th. I just woke up from a dream. And then we go to D major 7th, where you and I had to say goodbye. And then back to A. We're in the key of A major, so this is a 1-4 progression. Simple, nothing special. And here are the notes that the melody plays. So we're playing between the 2nd and 6th notes of the scale here, starting off calm, and we are playing the 5th note here, which is supposed to have a lot of tension, but it doesn't here. And that's because there's tonal ambiguity. We've only played 2 notes so far, the 1 and 4 chord, so we haven't strongly established the key. That's why this melody is calm, even though we're playing the 5th note. And then we get into the pre-chorus. So we start with D major. I realized wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. And then back to A. Nobody's promised tomorrow. And now we introduce a new chord, the C sharp major 7th, which is the 3 chord in this key. So I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. And then F sharp major. Now here's where it gets interesting. F sharp major is not in the key of A major, and we're also using it to build tension leading into the chorus. But F sharp is only the 6th note of the scale, which doesn't have a lot of tension. So what's going on here? This is a borrowed chord, and it's a secondary dominant. It's the dominant of B minor, which is the 2nd note of the scale. And what we're doing is tonicizing B minor. Tonicize means to make that the tonic for a while. We're in that key for a while. The chorus starts off with B minor, so F sharp works to build tension leading into the chorus since it's the dominant. And it actually plays F sus4 first before F sharp major to smooth the transition. By the way, if you want to learn how songs work so you can make your own, buy the course in my description. And here are the notes that the melody plays in this section. So as we hold this note leading into the pre-chorus, we expect it to go up here with more tension since that's where we were playing in the verse, but then it ends up going down here. And that feels satisfying because it relieves tension and it breaks our expectations. And then we go up to the leading tone, the 7th note, to build as much tension as possible, and then we stay up here to keep it leading into the chorus. And this is where the bass comes in as well, and here's how that goes. So D, the root of the chord, and then A, the 5th of the chord, and then we use E as a non-chord passing tone to A. Then E, the 5th of the chord again. And then we walk up to C sharp. And then again the 5th of the chord. And then walk up to F sharp. And then we get into the chorus. So we start with a B minor. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. So we have B minor 7th, and then D over E, which is interesting. It's kind of like an E11 chord, and then C sharp minor 7th, and then F sharp minor 7th. I think we're more in the key of F sharp minor here rather than A major, which is the relative minor. So that would be a 4-7-5-1 progression in the key of F sharp minor. And here's how the melody goes. So again, this melody makes perfect sense in the context of F sharp minor. We use C sharp here to build tension, which is the 5th note of the F sharp minor. And here's how the bass goes. So B, the root of the chord, of course, and then C sharp is a passing tone to E. And then we do this cool little melody up here, and then C sharp, the root. And then F sharp, and we do this cool little walk up in octave. And these are mostly notes of the chord, except for the B. And then we do a walk up back to B. And then we get to the variation part of the chorus. I'd wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. So we have A major, E over G sharp, F sharp minor, then C sharp minor. So it does like a walk down. So it's a perfect transition into the last part of the chorus, leading into the resolution. And the B minor here functions as a subdominant, building some tension leading into the 5 chord, whereas in the beginning of the chorus, it functioned as a tonic because we tonicized it, because we more strongly established the key now after playing the 1 and 5 chords. So you can see how the functions of the chords change depending on the context of the song. And here's how the bass goes. So the bass here does a walk down while playing this melody up here. And then walk up to E, which is the dominant, to perfectly lead into the resolution. And the melody. So we go down the scale to make it more calm, right before blasting you with the most intense part of the song. Playing up at the 5th note to increase the tension, and then we end it off. So we end off with G sharp instead of A, which makes it feel kind of incomplete and melancholic. It doesn't feel like a full resolution like it would if we just ended with regular A major. Instead, we end off like this. And this is why I think Bruno Mars has been so successful for so long, even though he only drops like every decade, because he puts so much effort into these things and making them unique and interesting. With all this modal mixture and tonal ambiguity, it's not just a simple 1-4-5 song, you know? You can tell there was real work put into this.